enthusiasts, yes, let me use it like that, right? We'll be able to hear from a head of data analytics in Wema Bank, which is a very good thing, right? They get first-hand information and value. Thank you very much for doing this with us. So
Right, you're
guys,
welcome.
yes, yes. So guys, see, it's an opportunity for us to hear, from a top leader in data analytics, and we are going straight into the panel session where we'll be asking Olamide questions about data analytics and how to get started, and you getting into the secrets of how you can become a data analyst. And I'm sure that for many of us that are on this call today, we definitely have one question or the other that we may want to ask along the way. So you can use the chat box. You can drop your questions in the chat box. Myself and Olamide are here to help you get answers to those questions. Thank you very much, guys. I want you all to sit tight while we enjoy this panel session and get the value we are supposed to get. All right. Yeah, Olamide, thank you very much again. So I would just like to, like you to introduce yourself briefly. Everybody on this call wants to meet you and, understand. Hi, Olamide. Hope you got that.
Yeah, introduction, right?
Yes, introduce yourself to everybody on this call, how your career journey has been so far, and just tell us something about you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for the invite. And good afternoon to everyone on the call. My name is Olamide Jolaoso. Where do I start? Okay. I'm a metallurgical and materials engineer by training. Okay, and but I've worked in a bank on the financial services industry for majority of my career. Like you said, I've done product development, diaspora banking, operations, and the last 5 years I've been doing data analytics, which is an interest. I'm sure we get to deep into it some more. I'm a Manchester United fan. I don't like Ronaldo anymore. I don't even mind if Messi wins the World Cup and becomes the GOAT anyway. And I love WWE. I've been watching wrestling since I was like this high. And I still watch it, and don't bother telling me that it's staged. I know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have a similarity here, which is the WWE part, right? Even though I know it's staged, I still can't get my eyes off it. Um, Thank you very much. That was a very wonderful introduction. So I also have another question for you, which is the part that actually, piques my interest so much. And you also mentioned it while introducing yourself. We want to already understand the story, the decision that what actually made allow you make that decision, or what's behind your decision into getting data analytics. Because I saw from your career, you were in product management before, which is also a tech skill, but you decided to move into data analytics. Please let's hear from you.
Okay. It's very interesting because it wasn't a decision. All right. And I'm sure you may be shocked at that. I didn't decide it. Yeah, I told you guys I have an engineering background. I've done a bit of computer science. Even my final year project in school then as a metallurgical materials engineer was actually a software program. So I was comfortable in tech and programming and all of that. But then when we started banking in those days, you didn't really have the kind of cherry picking that you can today that you want to work in this particular role. So I didn't really decide it. I do a lot of coaching and mentoring programs, and I was actually telling one of my audiences yesterday about this, that every young person on this call today have a fantastic opportunity in that you can decide where you want to go in terms of data. What really happened for me then in the organization I used to work with was the organization, and it's actually 5 years. By December this year makes it 5 years. They just sort of brought a couple of us together and asked us to figure out how we would use data to change organization. That was just it. It wasn't actually by choice. But the decision to actually grow in it and then make the best of use of it, that was a choice. Okay, even though I didn't decide to start it, the decision on how I took my career to the next level or I grew as a data analytics professional, that was a choice. But in terms of how I started in it, well, I don't think it's short of divine. But then that doesn't mean that you cannot decide to do something with it. So that's my story, really.
Oh wow, this is really interesting. I like the fact that you pointed that uh, you couldn't determine or you didn't make a decision into transitioning into it, but you actually made a decision to keep growing in it, which is something I find very 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 interesting. All right, so I would just like to move on to the next question. Right, many people will say, oh, definitely for you to have been in tech, there will be challenges, right? I just want to know, and everybody here would like to know what the difficult part of starting out in data analytics, and how did you get over it? Yeah.
So I think for me, the most or the biggest challenge then, when you started out and you've maybe learned a bit of the technical skills. And for me, I think, okay, after, a lot of us understood Excel then, but the tool we started learning with far back then, I think should be in the year 2018, was R. We did the training in R, and then we learned how to build machine learning models. But then, by the time you transit in building a lot of those things, the biggest challenge there was that, okay, you have this knowledge, all right, you can do something with it. But then, can you translate what you have done into something that makes sense for the organization? And I'll explain it a bit more now. So it's not enough for you to be able to maybe build a model that can calculate the customer's lifetime value or predict churn or detect a fraud case. If you can do that, how do you show the people that pay your salaries that, all right, this thing can affect your organization positively and have value? So that was a very, very big challenge, because we literally had to keep on experimenting, keep on trying, keep on clawing our way back. If we did something that didn't work or they didn't see the value in it, we moved on to the next. We moved on to the next until we got to the very big hit. And I tell you, Joseph, by the time we got to the big hit, it was big. It was big. It was something that changed the landscape of how we were seen as data professionals in the organization. And for the six of us that started out, okay, and many more others that came in the organization, our careers and our paths changed totally. But it wasn't an easy ride, and we didn't get there quickly. We had to keep on trying things. And this is something I tell the guys that work, my colleagues at the office, is like, you don't know which of your projects is going to, in natural parlance, blow. You don't know. So you have to keep on trying. But then, as you are trying, we needed to be sure that whatever we were doing was valuable to organization. Okay, so to me, that was the biggest challenge. It took a while to get there, but we finally did get there. It was a lot of work, a lot of experimentation, a lot of failures, a lot of failures, a lot of start stops. But we did get there, and we were recognized for the value our knowledge of analytics could prove to the organization.
Hmm. This is really great to hear, right? This session is giving me another vibe. I won't even lie, because it's hearing from somebody that's actually been able to experiment to actually become a data analyst, right? I must say that I think the present generation of tech talents are lucky to have people that will guide them, right? People that will hold their hands, help them transition much more, seamlessly, right? You agree with me, Olamide?
Yes, yes. And like I was even mentioning, that is one area that even I, in my own personal capacity, I try to do. Because I told myself that, okay, what's the best way that I can help young data professionals and enthusiasts? Which is why whenever I have invites like this, it's like natural for me to sort of I'm happy to accept, because I believe there are a couple of things that I can share that can just, sort of prick somebody else that's starting, and then help that person gain the clarity and the direction they need to make the right decisions they need on their own analytics journey.
Great. Thank you very much. So, guys, IB, please, if you are not talking, can you mute your mic, so we can actually enjoy this session? Thank you very much, IB. So, I was also move on with Olamide. So, very, very wonderful answers to all these questions so far, right? I'm very sure that we still have people on this call that would like to know, what a day in the life of a data analyst, right? When a data analyst comes to work, What do they do in the morning? Maybe you can give from the perspective of a junior, a normal or a junior data analyst, and you, who is the head of data analytics. So you can give those two types of scenarios. Yeah, it will be very lovely to hear.
Well, it depends on the structure of the organization that you have. Where I work today, we have quite an extended data team, and it cuts across core guys that do data science. We have the backend guys that do the data engineering, that do the ETLs, transformations, and then the normal SQL queries and extraction. Then we have the guys that do the visualization, and then we also have the guys that data governance is something that hasn't been even explored so much. A lot of people don't look at that particular role. All right. But if you've heard about GDPR and NDPR, some of these regulations that affect data privacy and data protection, so we have guys that also look into that, and then everybody can do a bit of data and business analysis. So if you're looking at the junior person, really, I'll take it back from a couple of things I said earlier. It's really about the value. So everyone have either regular business as usual projects or core projects that they are doing, which is either helping a process, whether you are helping somebody in another business unit. Let me use an example of those that build Power BI dashboards, those that are doing the business intelligence and the visualizations. So it's either they are building, or that junior data analysis talking to a business team to understand their requirements to build a Power BI dashboard. I saw one that your guys shared earlier. So it's either they are building that to the business user requirements. So beyond even the skills that they have in being able to do visuals and arrange it in place and do their Power Queries and the likes, they need to understand what the business wants. They need to be able to translate that requirement into that visual for the business. Okay, that's a part that doesn't require them building. Then after that, they need to now go back and be able to connect to the data source and do all of that and then build. And after they build, they still need to show the business owner that, okay, this is it. Let me walk you through what we have built. Does this meet your requirements? And at the end of this, someone needs to sign off. Okay, so that can also be, that's if you are building a junior data, let me use a junior BI developer now, is building something new for that particular business unit. And then you have the part that has to do with making sure there's uptime on those dashboards, because when you are working in real life scenarios now, those dashboards are things that the business owner goes to on a regular basis, on a daily basis at times. They wake up, they open the Power BI dashboard, they take the insight from it, and they make a decision. So if something goes wrong with that particular dashboard, they are reaching out to the data person that is in charge of it. So part of their own role is to ensure that that is up, it is working, it is fine, it must not go down. Every single thing about it, end to end. And then, teams normally would need data. You would need to go to the source, write simple queries, and at times complex queries, because a business owner or a business unit can say, okay, I need data of the top 10 customers that bought this product at this particular year. They can come with different criteria. So as a business or a data analyst, you need to take that criteria, understand it, go to the database, write an SQL query, fetch that data, arrange it and export it, maybe an Excel sheet, and give it back to the person that requests it. So these are just examples of what a junior person does rather. And then for people like us that are the leads, so it's more of because the higher you go, the more you have to now deal with people, making sure the people are empowered to do the job, making sure they are motivated to do the job, making sure you can speak to them in the language of technical, and also interpret what the business needs to ensure that everybody has a clear idea of expectations in the bank. Okay, so that is what my role entails. And my role also entails a lot of stakeholder management, a whole lot. So you have to speak, because it's beyond you just being able to do fancy things with data. You need to be able to understand what those in top management need, translate that to your team, and let your team interpret it and build the same. And remember, I talked about value. We need to always show value. So if you're building something, or if anything, whether it's a dashboard or a machine learning model, or you're just getting data, the value has to be translated to those that matter, to say, okay, this data is helping me make decisions. Because I tell everybody, whenever I get the chance to speak about data analytics, really, the definition I like most about data analytics speaks about when you inspect, you cleanse, you transform, you model, you do everything. But the end of that definition says to foster decision making. If every single thing that we've done doesn't allow the business owner to make a decision based on that, we've just done a science experiment to Joseph.
Wow, wow, wow. That's actually a very, very deep way of answering this question. I really like the way you answer this question. It's really, really it brings a lot of clarity, and I'm sure everybody on this call would agree with me that Olamide is hitting the nail on its head, and we are getting a lot of value from this session. All right, thank you very much, Olamide. So from your experience as a top professional, and for you to have gotten to this level, you must have seen a lot of scenarios in the tech ecosystem, especially data analytics, right? So I have a question that I know people usually ask, and I want you to give answers to it. And the question is it important to have a computer science degree, or a science background or an engineering background to transition into data analytics?
Okay. I think I've had a knack for answering questions like this in a funny way. So the answer is actually yes and no. It is both yes and it is both no. Okay. My own experience. I went to Yaba Tech. I did computer science and technology. Don't ask me how long. Very, very long ago. In the years they were using basic, not Visual Basic,
Wow.
basic. Okay, I know they teach everybody Fortran and all those things in school and all of that, but then I think they even taught C, then not even C plus and not C sharp. That's computer science. And I went to school, studied engineering, and then did things that related to computer programming. And look at me, I've started my career and I packed all that aside, working in bank operations and then new product development before I found my way back to something that relates to tech. So yes, you need it because if personally, when I had to learn R or learn SQL, okay, or learn Python, okay, it's easy for me to appreciate because I can understand code. All right, there are some things in code. If you are doing like when you're doing a loop or something, you can understand it because you have that foundational experience. It helps. All right, so it's good there. It helps when you're trying to talk to people on the technical level. You can flow in that. All right. And if you're going to do courses that has to do maybe a data science master's or so, when you are being taught that, you won't be so confused when you need to go and dig out how do you understand this program or run it. You can appreciate it and do it. But do you really need it to survive? No. Okay, because I've seen that, like I said, I spoke about a data governance role in analytics that nobody even looks at. That is purely non-technical. It has to do with policies, documentation, and even application. That it's a data role that is important but doesn't need. Even those that have, I've seen people that have zero programming background and they picked up analytics from the get-go because they had that curiosity and they had that interest. But you also should know yourself. Okay, you know yourself. Are you comfortable with programming if you want to do the data science and the AI part? If not, why are you stressing yourself? Okay, even me that I knew that I could appreciate it. I knew that, oh, I don't think what I want to be doing on a daily basis is to sit down with Python and then start to code. Instead, I patterned myself. I evolved that, okay, I would rather be someone that leads a team, okay, and be able to balance the technical guys with the business side. So if I need to sit down, probably write a sequel, yeah, I'll be able to figure my way around it. But that wasn't the best use of my own personal skills, okay? But then, do you need it to survive if it's your interest? Yes. But if not, and you have that interest, you can pick it up. There are so many learning opportunities and learning platforms today. Yours is one of them, okay? There are so many. It's so much. You don't even if you don't want to go to such, there was an assignment I was doing on a course I was doing, and I tried to, the question had to do with electrical engineering, and I was wondering, this is a data science master's degree. Why are you asking me electrical engineering? And coincidentally, I had two guys on my team there that graduated from electrical engineering. I called them. What do you understand about this? They had forgotten because it was theory. But one of them was able to point me through the basic theoretical application of it. And guess what, Joseph? I found something on YouTube that helped me clarify the question. So what did I do? From the understanding the guy gave me and from what I saw on YouTube, which was in Python, I was able to merge it and I answered the question well. So imagine if you didn't have first the patience, the curiosity, and you don't even have that appreciation for coding and everything, you probably would have been confused. So why should you even have been doing the master's degree in the first place? So it's really looking at yourself, knowing what you're comfortable with, all right, and then looking to learn the courses or the things in data analytics. Some people now, even AI is getting democratized. I've not really researched about it, but if you've been following trends around Chat GPT, there are different GUI interfaces you can do, you can use to create artificial intelligence, drag and drop tools that have zero coding. They're all there. But trust me, even that is a learning curve. If you have that particular interest, yes, you don't need that computer science background to go into it. But for those who want to do that technical bit, for instance, if you want to be an analytics engineer or a data engineer, you can't tell me you don't like coding. It's not possible. That means you don't really want to do the data engineering in the first place. If you want to be a data engineer, you need to learn your SQL. You need to know it. And it's not just simple SQL, just the simple select. There are the complex ones that you need to understand it. That means you need to spend that time to do it. So really now is the yes if that is your preference, and is the no if you know you are not comfortable with it. And then the curiosity, the energy to dig deeper and learn what you need to do. That's my answer, really.
Great, great. Thank you very much. It's really, really cool that you're talking about interest. It's a yes and a no answer, but your curiosity and interest and your level of comfortability, determines how well you would actually go in your transition process. Thank you very, very much for that. So, when you actually were answering the question, you mentioned some tools, right? Some tools that are being used for data analytics. And I'm sure everybody on this call will be curious. Okay, what tools can I start with? What tools can I want to start my journey? What tools should I be picking up, and trying to understand and learn? Yes.
Okay. The fundamental one that I always say that everybody needs really is know your Excel. That one is no matter what you do, whether you're a data scientist, data analyst, BI, whatever, you need to know Excel. You need to know Excel. You need to be able to use basic Excel to summarize pivot, VLOOKUP, and all of those things. You need to know that. So that one needs to be in the pad. It should be given. And the same way, you need to be able to do a good PowerPoint presentation. That's even on the side. But then um, tools now would now differ based on the organization you are going to work with. For instance, if you know Tableau and you come to our own organization, it's fine. You might be able to do some things in Tableau, but then as an enterprise, we don't use Tableau, we use Power BI. Okay, so really now, and you have some organizations, even in this Nigeria, they use the Google Cloud to do some other things. A lot of them use Azure. So you can see it's really differs from the organization. But the really basic ones you need to do, if you are going to be a data scientist, for instance, now, I don't need to tell you, you need to know R or Python. People tell you that Python is easier, R is old. It doesn't really matter. If whoever works for you, if someone tells me that he can build a correct ML model in R and it works, why should I force him to use Python? So it's easier for those who use those open source tools like R and Python. But then if you get to the customized ones that are enterprise based, you really don't have a choice. Okay, but I was telling the same audience I was telling yesterday, if your organization needs you to learn something, you will learn it now. You go and learn it. Okay, in my own journey, like I said, it was R. From R. It was even a very, very awkward progression. We had known Excel, okay? It was R. After R, we now, even Power BI, we didn't really learn it, but we're not sure how it was going to be used. We now have to remember that someone now said, okay, it's SQL. We now went to SQL. And someone now, okay, people have been using Python. We now learned Python. So it was a very, very rough, it was a very, very awkward progression. But we had to learn what needed to be learned to do what needed to be done. Okay, but if you're trying to maybe land a junior role or an entry level role, at least know your Excel, be able to use Power BI, be able to build dashboards, at least be able to put it together and connect it with data sources, and then be able to use SQL. Once you have that, uh, for people that I have even interviewed, I won't expect somebody that is entry level to know it all. Do you understand? But if you have shown a bit of capacity, even in these particular tools, yes, people will see promise and like, okay, I can work with this one. This person has raw talent. One of the guys that I used to work with, he actually got a job in an English firm and relocated a little later, a couple of months ago. When he came as entry level there, all he knew, he had done a lot of work in understanding how to use Python to build models. Do you get? And then that was his core skill. So it was easy for him to just fit into things that had to do with machine learning. And then he had done a bit of front end, even with Python. So, normally when you build data products, you need to also build front-end interfaces that the business users use to consume. And we didn't have anybody in the team there that could do that. I'm like, guy, I think you can be a good fit to actually do this. He was a bit reluctant, but then he delved into it and he was able to balance even the machine learning aspect, even the front end. And today that skill got him a job. His own Japa was correct. He wasn't the one that he's the one that they will pay for everything, and then the guy moved, they got him settled right here from Nigeria here. And that needed him to pick up what he had known before, increased his own knowledge, and that paved the way for fantastic things in his career.
Wow. Hello? Is
Yeah,
it
I
my
can hear
network
you.
or? All right,
I
all right.
can
Okay,
hear
so
you.
I said, wow, it's really a very interesting, way to answer this question because yes, so there are a lot of tech enthusiasts that are looking like, or analytics enthusiasts that are looking like, oh, I need to learn everything, I need to know everything, right? If you can actually if you want to start, your journey, you can actually have basic knowledge of some of these tools to help you, now learn on the job, learn with people that are already practicing while working, and you must be open to learning too. But you must have learned some things, right?
Yeah.
Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, whatever works for you. All right, thank you very much, Olamide, for the way you answered that question. And I like the story about your friend that actually tried, like his job took him out. I also have a friend that same thing happened to. And it's really showing a lot of opportunities and possibilities that is in tech. So that would lead me to the question, right? How well are the opportunities in the data analytics ecosystem?
Okay. I think the opportunities are there, and I think it's going to grow. All right. Because looking at 5 years from when we started, and that was when because even the data analytics space in Nigeria is just about that same number of years old, 5 years old. Okay. And if you look at the progression of that time till now, we've actually grown a lot. You have a lot of communities, forums, organizations that are setting up data teams, employing data professionals. So it's going to grow. A lot of the interest has peaked. The only country that I know is at a higher level, maybe times two the level we are than Nigeria, is South Africa. They are very, very mature. A lot of the roles are very, very mature. So that means that in Nigeria, we have space to grow. And I can bet you, this is December 2022, December 2027. If you look at this space again, it is going to astronomical growth. So what should professionals be actually doing? You should be getting ready. The opportunities are going to come, but will you be prepared for those opportunities? That should be the big question. Personally, even for me that I've been here 5 years, I'm preparing for the next level of what is going to come, because that would expect people like me to probably be in a different kind of role at that particular time. So really, I think people, whoever is listening, really, if you don't have that particular role yet, don't get perturbed. Keep at it. Okay. I tell people analytics is the long game. There is no shortcut. There is really no shortcut. You keep at it, fine-tune what you know. Fine-tune what you know, fine-tune it, know it. People are creating portfolios, volunteer, fine-tune, put yourself out there, do so much, and just be ready. So by the time you just see that opportunity or somebody reaches out or you get in that particular interview, you are not going to be dilly-dallying and speaking. You'll just be speaking because you already know it. Okay? If you don't have a place to express the volunteer, look for public data sets, look for competitions, make sure you are doing something, make sure you are applying it. If not, you can actually even forget it. That's reality. You can forget what you have known, but make sure you are preparing, because by the time the boom is already here. By the time that boom really, really explodes, you will be ready. And then people will just be fitting into roles. And I believe that even if those roles don't come, you can actually also make your own roles. You can actually create it, create that role, create the need. Let people see that, oh, this guy can do this. They will look for you. That's reality. They will look for you.
Great. Thank you very much. So guys, I see that some of us, are enjoying this session already. And if you have questions, please drop, your questions in the chat box. Although I have a question already from Olumide Fadibi rather, and he's saying, please, what's needed to engage in data governance? Olamide, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, and I think that's pretty straightforward. Go and do your research. Go and do your research. Data governance is what is data governance? Maybe you should start with it. Okay. Data governance speaks about how data is structured, organized, how it is controlled, who has access to it, who should actually treat what, who should do what in an organization. So it has to do with policies, it has to do with procedures, and it's something you need to sit down and even start to do your own research. Few organizations really hire data governance officers, but then it's going to increase because the more, I think a lot of people just dive into okay, I'm a data scientist, I'm a data analyst, I'm a business analyst, I'm a machine learning engineer, I'm a data engineer. People don't look at that, okay? But you can create, like I said, you can create the need for that particular role by becoming immersed in it, all right? And then that opportunity will come, okay? I'll use the South African example. I got wind of a particular bank that had somebody that was like a senior person in charge of data governance and compliance. Very, very senior. So if you have senior, that means in that particular client, they have defined that role much more. And trust me, it will happen. And if you do your research very well, I mentioned it earlier about NDPR. NDPR is Nigeria Data Protection Regulation. It's something that regulates how I think once you have over 100,000 customers or so, that regulation applies to you. And these are part of things that whoever is in charge of data governance must know. So the best thing you can do is just go and do your research. Do your research about who a data governance person is and see whether it interests you. And if it interests you, you can start to pick up the skills and knowledge you need to succeed so that when the role comes or when the opportunity comes, you fit in.
Great. Thank you very much for that question. I'm sure we actually got the right answer there. So we've been talking about data analysts, data scientists, data engineer, and the like. So, but usually the roles that people usually tend to ask the difference about is what's the difference between a data analyst, a data scientist, and a data engineer?
I believe everybody analyzes data, okay? So a data analyst, you don't even have to be a data professional to be a data analyst. While I was in product development, then they would give you more like a target. Maybe you're managing a particular product and you are giving it a 1 year target of what you need to grow the product to. So that means you start to think of innovative things you can do, all right, to maybe build things that would help you grow the product. And as you are doing that, oftentimes on a regular basis and sometimes daily, you'd have to take data about how that product was doing. Is it growing or is it not? Who are your top customers? All sorts of questions. That is, you're analyzing data then. Then we'll take Excel, run different summaries, different scenarios. We're analyzing data. And yet data analytics wasn't common in the particular day. We're already doing it. We would project, we would forecast, do a couple of things then already. People were already analyzing data, and that was in a data analytics role. Okay, so everybody does data analytics in a way already, whether you are in healthcare or something, payroll. Okay, how many people do we pay in a month? What's our how I call it? How often? What kind of grade levels do we have? That's analysis of data already. But then to now deeper, when you try to dig for deeper insights, and deeper insight would mean now using additional tools. That's when you now say, okay, do I use Power BI to visualize it better, to see it better? Or do I use R to give me predictions, or Python to give me predictions that will allow me see insights? Okay, it can be the descriptive, diagnostic, prescriptive, or predictive in no particular order. So really, it's there. Okay, but then if you're not speaking to people who are data engineers, that is a bit more how I call it, defined, because those guys are the guys that are really, really at the back end. For those people that see a lot of memes on social media, people will show you that, oh, the data scientists are seen, but it's the data engineers that carry them. Because really, if I'm going to build a machine learning solution on the cloud, I would need a data engineer to create all the pipelines to where the data is stored and feed me those pipelines to connect to my model. Okay, so it is much more defined when you get to the data science part, data scientist part, and then the data engineering part. But then really everybody analyzes. But if you now speak further to the business analysts, these are guys that understand the business and apply what they know about data to now give insights that allow the businesses to make a decision. Okay, and their roles will keep on coming. Today, now, I attended I think a LinkedIn session a couple of days ago, and they were making predictions of 2023 in data analytics. And one of the core things they said, which I've already seen, is the role of a data product manager is going to increase. The need for that role is going to increase in 2023. And who is the data product manager really? Apart from building the machine learning model and everything the data product needs, you need to now take that product and make it grow. I think that's the simplest way I can explain it. You need to take that product and make it grow. And making it grow means you are engaging your business or your stakeholders. You are looking for innovative ways to communicate. These are soft skills that have nothing to do with writing programs and everything. Those are skills that you need to now own. So a lot of roles would even pop up. So really, it's really taking, and I go back to what I said earlier, people who are interested or enthusiasts or professionals need to start from what is my own interest? Where do I actually want to fit in here? And as you know where you want to fit in, it's easier for you to now tell yourself, oh, let me plug to this particular area. I know people that all they know and all they can do is to build Power BI dashboards. And I tell you, I know people that have even left Nigeria, gone to the UK, and are making thousands of pounds building what? Power BI dashboards. That's all. So it depends really on you understanding your own particular position in this ecosystem and then connecting to the particular role.
Great, great. Thank you very much. That question actually answered a whole lot of things at the same time, which is really, really cool. So guys, I still say again, if you have questions, drop it in the chat box. It's an opportunity for you to get answers to your questions, guys. Okay, so I'll just move on with my question. So you mentioned something about working on projects, building your portfolio, earlier in this meeting. And so I just want to ask a question. Portfolio versus certificates, which will you rate higher and why? Yes.
Forgive me, I don't answer questions in a direct way. I'll say none of the above and I'll explain.
All
Okay?
right, great. Great.
Because it's easy to more like, but if I want to pick one, I'll pick portfolio, because a portfolio demonstrates what you have done and what you can do and allows you to sell yourself better. Okay? But certificate, on the other hand, should actually be a validation of what you can do. So if someone comes to me now and has a certification, fine. I'd even be pushed to even probe more. If you have the certification, prove to me that you can do what the certification does. If not, you've just gone and got a certificate. It's easy. We are Nigerians now. We know how to read book and pass. Okay? But then in this day and age, it's about what you can do. How can you apply that stuff you are certified for to help me solve a problem? If you cannot apply, then there's a problem. Because if you come and work for me, I'm probably going to tell you, okay, at least you can do this, take. And I'm going to ask you for results. But a portfolio is better because a portfolio already defines what you can do. And it is clearly stated and people can see it and interact with it. So if I was going to tip skills, I'll tip it more on portfolio than certification. Not that I'm throwing certification out of the way. You should go for certification to validate what you already know and can do. For instance, now, if you know SQL very well, you can create a lot of scripts that can do complex things. Then go and get certified to validate what you can do. So when you get there, you are not just speaking. People see the certification and they can now say, oh, this guy is good. He's certified in it, and yet he's demonstrated that he can do it. You can't go wrong with that.
Yes, yes, yes. Great, great, great way of answering the question still, yeah. Because definitely there are some questions, there are some answers that are not cast on stone. Like it does not eat its entirely, right? it's a very good perspective, portfolio and certificate. Yeah. So guys, please, I need you to keep these records because it's very, very important. Your journey is about to start, and if you're just starting out, you can start applying some of these, secrets that Olamide is sharing with us on this call today. So I'll just move on to my second to the last question. So in our conversation, in this question, there are two in one because I want to make it second to the last actually. So we have in tech, it's very understandable that people can work remotely. So firstly, can data analysts or people in the data ecosystem work remotely? That's my question A. Then, and how well is the salary? Like how well can people enjoy, cashing out in the data ecosystem? Thank you very much.
Yes, they can work remotely. I think anyone that is not looking to remote work in this day and age, will be a bit blunt, is a bit backward. Okay, because I know in today's day and age, right here in this Lagos, there are a lot of people that work totally remote for foreign companies. A former colleague of mine I just found out that he got a job with a South American organization, and he's right here in Lagos. I know a lot of people that are right here in Lagos working for companies abroad, and they are doing the same data analytics that we're talking about. So it is there. So if the organizations abroad are seeing our talents and working with them even while they are here without moving them to their countries, why are Nigerian companies not doing the same? So even I think before COVID, in the organization I worked with them, before the lockdown, our organization there was already working remotely. We tested it. There was time we were even going full remote. And then we were working on projects and work was going on. I think the major difference is having leadership in place that will ensure everybody's accountable and doing the right things. So yes, you can actually work remotely. And even our own organization today, we have like a shift pattern because I now believe in the balance. Okay. There are some things you need to just tackle face to face. So you should have a time that they come face to face to the office and give them time to also work remotely. What matters is the results at the end of the day. If everybody understands what they want to do, that's the most important thing. You need that even with the problem of Lagos traffic these days. So I'd rather, if you're going to work 3 days from home or 3 days in the office, let me know that those 3 days that you're not going to come to the office and be stressed with Lagos traffic, it's going to give you a chance to sit down and actually do the work. Personally, when I work from home, I work more. I get stressed more. Because in the office, you drive, you gist, you work. At the end of the day, really, you might not have done, but then if you're working remotely, I have this to deliver. There's no distraction. You sit with your laptop and then you do what needs to be done. So what was the second question?
Yes, and how well do they get cash out? Like, do they get paid? Like how is the salary like? Yeah.
It depends. The salary here in Nigeria really depends on. Let me even answer it this way. I have seen people start small and they've grown. Okay, people that have started small with like I gave you the example of that my former colleague that is in the UK now. He started as an entry level. I'm talking of 2019. Talking of 2019, that is 3 years. Meaning that the guy started working, yes, it was 2019. I hope I'm not being mistaken. I think it's even 2020. I'm mixing something together. But even if it's 2019 till now, that is 3 years. The guy came in as an entry level. Do you get data scientist?
Okay.
I think someone's mic is on.
Please, if you are not talking, if you're not the one to talk, please can you mute your mic? Okay. I think I have to do that now. Say Woodrow, please can you mute your mic?
I'm sure Deshaun will make sure.
All right. Thank you very much.
So for that particular colleague, if he came as an entry level, let's even say for argument's sake, it was 2019. 2019 till this year is 3 years. And he came in as an entry level. How much do you pay entry level in banks? I'll just be very modest. Let's say between 150,000 naira to 200,000 naira. Okay, that's per month. That's monthly. And let's say that within that time, maybe he got one promotion and he started earning, let's say modestly, 250,000 naira to 300K per month. Joseph, the guy's in UK now and he's earning in pounds. Let's even be modest again and say he's earning 30,000 pounds to 40,000 pounds per annum. And then you remove, let's say, the tax and everything. Let's even calculate 20,000 pounds per annum in naira. Can that be compared to what he was earning here in Nigeria? No. And this was someone that started as an entry level, but he had a skill. He had a skill that he had that brought him in, and he had a skill that he mastered. Okay, and mastered it and delivered value, and that value opened up to more value. And trust me, this same guy, I'm sure by the time we talk about him again, maybe another 5 years time, maybe the guy will be earning $200,000 or something. Because if he doesn't stop there, he would also grow. So trust me, the salary might not be what it is at the start, but then if you are getting better and you are pushing and pushing, okay. And like I said, I know people that are building Power BI dashboards for a living. Okay, so you need to start it, you need to perfect it, and then get better at it, and then just when the opportunities come, you have to be ready.
Great, great. Thank you very much for that answer. And so because this the way you answer this question is actually deep, and it can be it's more like answering question, asking the last question, right? Because the last question is you giving the parting words, to the tech enthusiasts, and you mentioned something about, starting small, just start somewhere and you keep improving yourself. So, but still, we still like to hear your parting words for, the aspiring data analysts that are looking to, get started. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, let me try and be concise. Start small. Okay, seek clarity. Put in the work. Put in the work. That cannot be overemphasized. I tell people hard work doesn't kill anybody. Put in the work. Someone asked me yesterday that, okay, how many hours should I put into maybe studying and analytics? And I asked him, are you working? He said no. I said minimum of 6 hours in a day. Because you have people that are working and are still learning. So if you are not working, what are you doing? You should be putting like 10 hours a day. Put in the work, start small, and then put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. Look for communities, look for mentors, look for post on what you are doing, volunteer, volunteer, participate. You need to put yourself out there. Don't just do it in isolation, thinking that people will find you in isolation. As you are growing and as you are learning, put yourself out there. If the job is not coming, look for a place to volunteer. Look for sample data set, look for public data set, work on something that is practical, put it out there. And we've talked about portfolio as well. Put it out there and not short of market yourself, and then give it time. Give it time. Don't be discouraged if it's not coming at the time that you want. It takes time. It might not take time for everybody, but then they say good things come to those that wait. Sometimes you might need to wait for that big break that you're looking for.
Thank you very much. That's really, a very cool way to answer that question. We actually got a lot of, experience with the way you answer your questions, and which actually shows that you are, a top professional. And I can tell you for a fact that we got value. Thank you very much for doing this with us, Olamide. So, guys, I want you to,
You're welcome.
thank Olamide in the chat box, and please, you can connect with Olamide on LinkedIn. Yeah, this is his name on LinkedIn, Olamide Jolaoso. So, guys, they would be happy to connect with you all. Thank you very much, Olamide. It's a very, very wonderful, session with
Thank
you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
It was
All right.
wonderful session.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. All right, all right. So so I'll just be moving on to, other value that I have to share with you before we end this session today. So yeah, at Quantum Analytics, we also help you get started in data analytics, right? We help you from the, from the fundamentals, and we take you to a level where we confident enough to, apply for jobs and tap into opportunities, right? So guys, we actually are open to helping you, and I will quickly share how our program structure is like here in, quantum analytics. So our trainings are hands-on. They are hands-on training where you can actually learn, while working on projects. You learn, you are in the environment, you are learning Excel, you are opening Excel, and you are working on, using business cases and working on data, right? Then you also learn from practicing professionals. And when I mean practicing professionals, I mean data analysts that are actually working in organizations, right? Are you thinking of the banking sector or the e-commerce sector or fintech? These are the guys you'll be learning from, right? Who else do you want to learn from, if not from people that are actually doing the work and actually experiencing it, and they can actually share, knowledge with you? Then you make sure that you build your portfolio. It is very, very important. You heard from Olamide that projects are very, very important. When technical recruiters see the projects you've been able to work on and you can talk them through it, right? They know that you know what you're doing, and it actually says a whole lot about you and your level of professionalism. So, guys, I'll just move on to how we support our students, right? So, we actually support our students. We have a vibrant community with data analysts and enthusiasts like yourself, where you can actually tap on opportunities. You can't overemphasize the power of community. You know how communities that actually help people get opportunities, here in Nigeria and even outside Nigeria. Then we also make sure that we have a LinkedIn optimization session for you, right? Because it's one thing to learn how to do these things, to have the skill. It's another thing to learn how to position yourself for opportunities, right? So we, on LinkedIn, you agree with me that there are lots of people that LinkedIn has changed their lives, career-wise, and you must learn to, optimize your LinkedIn and position yourself for data analyst, opportunities rather. And these are like, webinars like this. If you are part of our community, then we also help you, learn how to review your CV and prepare for interviews. So we have cases where, some of our students, have interviews, for example, and they reach out to us and be like, yo, see, I have an interview. Can we have like an interview demo session, a preparation session? Yes, we can actually, quickly ask you to jump on the call, and we actually do that for you. Yeah, so these are the kind of ways to support our students. Then we also offer you letter of recommendation. See, this is different from your certificate. Yes. So we have cases where some of our students, get a job and they need a recommendation letter from the organization where they learned, right? We are that go-to person. If you have actually, learned through us, definitely we will give you a recommendation letter. And then we also have sessions on, making you see how you can access remote jobs. So these are ways to support you are more like webinars, and some are can be like a jumping on the call to, solve these problems. So guys, I would just, before I go, I would just like you to understand that you have to start from a point and you move to another point. So, and the journey can't be procrastinated, guys, because see that every day there are opportunities, and when you are resting, there's somebody picking up these skills, and the person is starting his career anytime soon. So, guys, I do not want you to procrastinate. This is the end of a year already, right? And we are moving into another year, 2023. What are your plans for 2023? How well do you want to position yourself for opportunities in data analytics? So in our data school, we have different programs. We have data analyst fellowship, which actually runs through 8 weeks, and you actually learn tools like Excel, SQL, Microsoft, PostgreSQL, Power BI, Tableau, Python. That's actually in the data analyst international program. We have data analyst international program. We have data analyst local. Don't let me use local. Let me use regional, because these programs are actually built to to support the career market fit or the talent market fit for each organization per geographic location. So it's very, very important that you can speak with me about this, yes, to help you decide on which of the programs will best suit you. But definitely you're going to be learning tools that I mentioned earlier: Excel, SQL, Power BI, Python, and you also learn problem solving skills by McKinsey. As Olamide said earlier, it's one thing to be able to learn how to position yourself for these opportunities, right? But it's another thing to be able to solve the problems. You can analyze data, yes, but can you translate it to solve your organization's problem? Are you meeting the business needs, with all these things that your data is saying? So you are actually be able to learn that from your problem solving skills, by McKinsey. It's very, very important that you know how to use data, manipulate it, clean it, visualize it, and you can actually translate it into your business needs. It's very, very, very important. So guys, I'm going to be dropping my WhatsApp now on, my WhatsApp number in the chat box now. I'm sure many of you want to reach out to me, right? So we can actually have a conversation on how you can get started. So we have a class starting very, very soon in January. We have a class starting in January. And we also have one of our classes starting on the 7th of January too. We have one on the 28th of January, but you can come to my WhatsApp. Let's have a conversation on how you can get started and start tapping into the opportunities in the tech ecosystem, guys. In the tech ecosystem, I'm dropping my number right away, so you can feel free to reach out to me on WhatsApp. Let's have a conversation, and I want to be part of your success story, guys. I want to be part of your success stories. So, guys, it's been a very wonderful session, with you today. You can see on this last screen that you can actually send an email address to if hello at quantumanalytics.co.org if you have questions and you need clarity on your concerns. And you can actually reach out to any of these numbers on your screen. So the first number is my number. My name is Joseph, as you have met me before. You can reach out to me, send me a WhatsApp message. I want to get you started, guys. I want to get you started. And this is the best time to make your plans for a new year. Give yourself that career treat that you deserve. I want to see you guys in class very, very soon. It's been a wonderful almost 2 hours with everybody on this call. And I hope to see you in my DMs very, very, very soon. Please have a wonderful evening, a wonderful Sunday evening. If you still want to watch the World Cup, you can go back to watch it. And take care of yourself and have a wonderful night. Bye.